this higher dimensional information I was given about these template shifts that I'm currently putting out into the world. The question I asked was, if people aren't feeling anything, are they still receiving any sort of benefit? Because I recognize when you haven't cleared your energy field, you shut down from the world. You're protecting yourself. Hey, I get it, right? I used to be there too. We kind of have to do that in order to survive and cope on this harsh planet where trauma has been the norm. So the process of opening everything back up is scary, and that, you end up having to feel all sorts of stuff. So it makes sense that we would have developed a coping mechanism to desensitize ourselves. But here's the thing, is that our sensitivity is our superpower. That's how our intuition works best. That's how we're most empowered. So we do at some point need to walk the gauntlet of facing everything that we've, shoved down or are sitting on. But with that in mind, because I know the comparison monster can come up and people are like, well, I don't feel anything. I don't have that gift. It's not a gift, okay? It's exactly what I just described. Here's what I was told. Do not doubt for a moment that they are being affected. The register is happening on a key they are not tuned into, so they won't be as conscious of the effects as others who have developed their attunement. The initial experience may feel like nothing to them, but interesting synchronicities will begin to occur. This medicine is so intelligent in its design and application that it works like a timed release. And then they went on to explain, you don't know how many people you've affected in this way because you never return to visit them, from store clerks, etc., right? Because anywhere I'm out and about, I'm always bringing my field. I'm very, very mindful of that. I mean, it's a huge piece of my service on the planet. And you can imagine when I travel for my field work around the globe that, I happen to be seated next to certain people and have certain encounters, and all sorts of amazing stuff happens. I have amazing stories. I had a woman once tell me when I was up at Whitefish, Montana, that 3 days before, she lived in Florida, the light in the sky showed up and she was told to come to the resort. And then we had a chance encounter in the hallway, and she got what she needed, right? It's pretty cool. Yeah, some of you remember all the work I did with the Glacier Portal and was always going up to Whitefish. That was a really nice body of work, wasn't it? I love Montana. I could see myself going back at some point. But who knows? Who knows where my next assignment will be? And then the other thing I could share that I was given is basically when you think about what we're going through in terms of shifting vibronics and vibrational coordinates, keeping up with where the planetary consciousness is going and has decided to go. When we move, I've done it a lot now. So do you want to lug everything with you every single time? Do you want to bring the boxes that you didn't even unpack last time? I mean, so that's kind of the metaphor I'm being given right now, that not engaging in these shifts and this work is a lot like just lugging dusty, old, unopened boxes from house to house that you move in. You're just bringing them with you. Kind of even see that at maybe at the soul level. You're not resolving anything. And I'm just going to be compassionate right now because I can feel it in a lot of your heart centers that you're terrified. Of course you are. I get it. Believe me, I get it. I have been through the ringer and back these last couple of years. And it can be very scary to go to boxes that you don't even remember what's there and what you might find and how it might make you feel. But you will be so glad that you did ultimately. See, okay, what I'm being shown now is that fear comes from that's the effects of living in 3D distortion and density. Think about you're this wide open, sensitive, small child, and the things start coming your way. And you learn pretty quickly, you got to guard yourself. You got to armor up. You got to shut down your heart. You got to be guarded because otherwise it's too painful. You're just like a, open target for everybody else's projected wounding. But of course, what ultimately has happened is now we're living in kind of a trap and a prison of our own creation, even though it was out of a need to cope. It still functions as a prison and a trap. And that's why so many of you feel this inner pressure and the stagnation that's frustrating you and the call to something more. You're supposed to be more than, a fearful, contracted expression of source, God, right? Yeah, there you go. Did you feel that? Like just acknowledging that, all of a sudden there's all this energy that wants to start coming through the heart and say, yeah, wait a minute. I didn't come here to be some scared peon, right? I have a voice. I have a lot of love. I have a lot of creative inspiration that I want to make manifest in the world. And so this process of unpacking all these tightly sealed old boxes that got shoved away, right? Shoved away in the recesses of our being is the only way to self-liberate and reclaim who we really are, who we were when we were just those small toddlers. And if you've been around small children, you know they're precious, right? They're open. They're open to multidimensional reality. They're still seeing, other dimensions. That's why they can see grandma and grandpa who've passed, maybe, or talking to pets on the other side even, right? Before it all kind of gets shut down. There are no coincidences. And I know many of you know I've worked a lot in the shamanic traditions. And so the vultures here, I've been watching them soar and, bank and then dive, and they're just having a blast. I can tell this it's not functional. They're not doing something to get somewhere. This is pure and sheer joy and fun that they're having, because they're built for it. And when I watch that, I know it's being shown to me for a reason. And the dragonflies are all over here too, which has been the long time symbol for the emergence experience, right? Down in the water, and you can't imagine life out in the air, and then that's the transformation. So what's coming to me now is that watching these beautiful birds circle and bank and fly and soar, this is humanity's birthright. But it's like our wings have been clipped by negative narratives and limited thinking and culture that's been passed down, right? It's not that you created that, right? You incarnated into a place where, it's a little rough with limited thinking. And so the bigger picture of why our souls are really putting that internal pressure on us now is because our birthright is love, not fear. Yeah, you feel that? I'll be a fierce warrior for that statement any day of the week, because it's absolutely 100% true. And we have to muster the internal courage to live that as our daily truth. And believe me, I know, as someone who's been really tested, it can be somewhat tempting to want to fall down into those victim black holes, but you can get trapped there, right? So this is the time when we have this amazing opportunity to go inward and unpack all these boxes and not bring them with us into the next room. Because frankly, if you want to be in higher vibrational coordinates, like I think most people do, because the joy factor, the happiness factor, the abundance factor, all of it is so much higher there. It's just more enjoyable. We have to let go of all of this stuff we've been lugging around. But in order to do it and sort through it, we have to sort through it. We have to be willing to look at it. So this seems to be the real message that wants to be kind of underlined and emphasized in this Healing Renaissance video is we understand that the work is scary, but we also know that this is the fastest, shortest path to the kind of lives that you all would like to live. What's really cool is that we're in a time where, my gosh, spirit mediums are on morning talk shows. That was not happening 10 years ago. And there's so much more available now in terms of the collective moving. Because I get it, when the collective is really, really stuck, being a single outlier is that much more work because you're swimming upstream, like a salmon. Now the collective is moving and there is a collective movement. And so we can ride this wave home into a higher harmonic of being. And each time you come, it's not even full circle, but full spiral, you're at a different place and you have new perspective. And I know many of you know what I'm talking about. It's like, wow, I've been through a lot already in this life. And I've arrived at this point now where with reflection and hindsight, I can kind of see these patterns. And I'm willing to choose to be much more authentically myself, because frankly, that's the only satisfying and fulfilling way forward. Trying to imitate and copy everyone else is just, it's soulless, because that's not your path. It's really a matter of really tuning in to face the wounding that you're ready to face and heal. But then the really fun part is coming back out in an aligned way and creatively expressing that in the world, and whatever your creative jam happens to be, right? So I'm being shown, we often are given creative, that siloed as those are the writers, those are the musicians, those are the artists. Ha ha ha. It's just like the word healer. Okay. Everyone is extremely creative in their own way. Creativity is not the property of only artists. Everyone is an artist. Everyone is creating. You may just happen to do it in a way that society doesn't necessarily recognize as art and creative. But all of human creation, it's an art form. Everyone has a kind of this beautiful, unique inner brilliance, innate creativity. Children are born that way. They're innately curious and innovative and imaginative. And so, surprise, surprise, a lot of this inner work we do is inner child work and reclaiming the inner child before they got shut down and told that that's not the way you do it and yada, 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 right? Now, I find it interesting. There are no coincidences. So do you notice what's happening through the course of this video and how the sun is slowly illuminating what has been in the shadow, beginning with the heart center, not up here. Yeah, see, that's one of those big inversions. We have to get out of our mind and back down into our heart center. So as I circle back to talk about this theme in the context of the template shifts, working with the natural environment and being with the natural environment as you integrate these shifts is incredibly beneficial. So just sitting quietly outside, feet on the ground, getting nice and grounded, going for a nice slow walk, maybe sitting with a tree, putting your feet in a creek, sitting out, watching the stars at night, getting up early like I do to watch the sunrise. My morning routine these days involves getting up, and the first thing I do, it's not meditating. I immediately begin to play the song, The Power of Love. There is something so powerful about starting my day with that as my kind of, it's my beat. And if you listen to the lyrics, it just talks about this incredible force that has the power to transform and alchemize so much. So really be intentional with how you are doing your day. And I mean, we know this, right? Starting the day just kind of in a raw autopilot and stumbling out of bed. You can do it that way, but so much of the unconscious programs are just going to be running you versus how do you want to curate your day? How do you want to kick it off? There's something really energizing about the power of love. And I literally start dancing like right out of bed, because that is the new foundation that I'm building for my life. That's what I want in there, is that kind of power and juice and excitement and frankly fun. I mean, come on, let's make Earth more fun, right? So I hope this inspires you wherever you happen to be on this journey, whether it's just at the beginning and you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I don't know if this is for me, or you're well into it and saying, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready for that next round. I'm ready for the next spiral. I'm ready to go deeper because I know that directly impacts the vibrational coordinates I get to hang out in. And many of you, I can feel it kind of coming through right now, have important service contracts. So you have either already developed platforms or you're about to develop platforms or even expand them to be able to impact even more people because it's a chain reaction. And these soul contracts are really the antidote to a lot of density and distortion and negativity that is perpetuated, right? And we know this, the easy thing to test for yourself is say something that's kind of victim-y and watch everyone join you versus say something that is really exciting that you've done that is stretching you and watch how it might be crickets. Now, hopefully you've developed a circle of really supportive people. You might want to do an inventory if you find there's crickets on the other end of your good news, right? Beyond yourself as a sovereign being, which you really want to be, who are your champions? That's who you want to surround yourself with. Or as I like to call them, adventure buddies, right? They're excited about growing and expanding and evolving just like you are. Okay, well, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it for today as I tune into the field to see if there's anything else. There's a lot that's transmitted that's beyond words. I know many of you can feel that. So just to sum up, private days, private retreats are open, mainly here at my home in Eastern Oklahoma here in the Ozarks, but I am willing to consider traveling to meet you somewhere on the planet if that is what the internal guidance is directing us to do. Many of you know I've traveled extensively doing multidimensional field work from Egypt to France to Bali to Asia. And, interestingly enough, Dubai is calling full circle. So you may not know, I was born to American parents in Iran. My father was an engineer working there in Tehran. in the 70s, and we had to flee because of the revolution, and we lived in Dubai for a while. So I was there before it was built up, just a little kitty in, Sandlot and preschool there. So some interesting things converging. And of course, the emergence experience is open as well. And I'd love to see you there as well. All right. I love you all so much. You've got this. We've got this. Wishing you a very magical, multidimensional rest of your day.